Hey everyone, and welcome back! Today, we're diving into a story about what happens when you lose a TV remote battery. Spoiler alert. It gets weird. So picture this. Professor Alistair Wigglebottom, a man whose lab coat has more stains than a toddler's bib, is frantically tearing his workshop apart. He's not looking for a lost sock or his keys. No, he's on a quest for the holy grail of couch potatoes, a single AAA battery. His sidekick, a sleek, chrome-plated robot named Unit 734, or as Alistair calls him, Bolt, is observing with the digital equivalent of a raised eyebrow. Bolt isn't just a robot. He's a walking, talking encyclopedia of sarcasm. Sir, my calculations indicate a 97.3% probability that the battery is located in the abyss you refer to as the couch cushions, Bolt's monotone voice echoed. Nonsense, Bolt, Alistair declared, popping up from behind a pile of blueprints. I've checked there, thrice. This calls for science. He unveiled his latest invention, the quantum object locator, a contraption that looked like a hairdryer glued to a toaster. Bolt sighed, a sound surprisingly human for a machine. You built that to find your missing left sock, which was, if you recall, on your right foot. Alistair ignored him, aiming the device. Engage! He yelled, flipping a big red switch. The machine whirred, sputtered, and then shot a shimmering green beam that hit the wall. Instead of just lighting it up, the beam tore a hole in reality. A swirling vortex of rainbow colors appeared, smelling faintly of old books and cinnamon. Oh dear, Alistair muttered. Correction, sir, Bolt said flatly. That would be a transdimensional portal. My diagnostics suggest a high likelihood of catastrophic failure. Or, aliens. From the portal, a strange figure emerged. It looked like a lightbulb. A very regal lightbulb, wearing a tiny golden crown and floating on a small ornate pillow. Behind it, an army of sentient objects marched out. Teacups with tiny swords, staplers that clicked menacingly, and a platoon of angry-looking desk lamps. The regal lightbulb, whose name they'd soon learn was King Lux, cleared his non-existent throat. Behold, mortals. You have opened the gateway to Objectia. We have come for the sacred power cell. Alistair and Bolt exchanged a confused look. King Lux projected a holographic image into the air. It was a perfect, shiny AAA battery. Alistair's battery. Wait a minute, Alistair said, pointing. That's my remote battery. It must have fallen into the portal when I activated the... He glanced at his now smoking invention. The portal opener. Indeed. King Lux boomed. Our ancient prophecies foretold of its arrival. The Cylindrical Messiah, destined to bring eternal light to our kingdom. The object army cheered, a bizarre symphony of clinking, whirring, and stapling. Suddenly, the lights in Alistair's lab flickered and died. An emergency generator kicked in, casting long shadows. Bolt's optical sensors glowed red. Sir, I am detecting a critical power drain across the entire city grid. The portal is siphoning energy. If we don't close it and retrieve that battery, which is apparently the key to its stability, the entire power infrastructure could collapse. So what you're saying is, Alistair said, a slow grin spreading across his face, we have to go on an adventure into the world of talking objects to get my battery back and save the world. That is a wildly oversimplified and recklessly optimistic summary of our impending doom, sir. But yes, excellent. Alistair grabbed a backpack and started stuffing it with random gadgets. To Objectia! They stepped through the portal. The world of Objectia was breathtaking and utterly bizarre. Buildings were made of giant Lego bricks, the streets were paved with Scrabble tiles, and the sky was a swirling mosaic of stained glass. Sentient forks and spoons zipped past them on tiny roller skates. Their first stop was the Chattering Market, a bustling square where objects of all kinds bartered and traded. A group of shifty-looking dice were running a shell game in a corner, while a wise old grandfather clock dispensed cryptic advice for a small fee. Alistair, trying to be subtle, approached a worn-out leather armchair. Excuse me, my good chair. We're looking for the sacred power cell? The armchair creaked. The Cylindrical Messiah? It's being taken to the luminous palace for the coronation of light, but you'll never get there. The path is guarded by the Spool Syndicate and the dreaded Scissors Sisters. Sounds sharp, Alistair gulped. Bolt, ever the pragmatist, scanned the area. Sir, I've downloaded the local network, which was surprisingly unsecured. The Scissor Sisters are a pair of rogue shears who control the paper pass. To get through, we need a tribute they cannot cut. Something they can't cut, Alistair mused, rummaging through his backpack. He pulled out a pet rock he'd been keeping since the 3rd grade. Perfect. They journeyed to the paper pass, a narrow canyon carved through mountains of discarded newspapers. 2 enormous, gleaming scissors blocked the way, snapping their blades threateningly. Halt! None shall pass without tribute. They snipped in unison. Alistair bravely held up the pet rock. We offer this, a stone of unbreakable will. The Scissor Sisters tried to snip it, but their blades just scraped harmlessly against the rock's surface. Frustrated, they screeched and parted, letting them pass. Well played, Roundworlders. Next, they had to navigate the Inky River, a deep, dark river of fountain pen ink. The ferryman was a grumpy old quill pen who demanded a riddle be solved before he'd grant passage. What has an eye but cannot see? The quill asked in a scratchy voice. Bolt answered before Alistair could even open his mouth. A needle. The answer is statistically obvious. The quill grumbled but rowed them across. On the other side, they could see the luminous palace, a magnificent structure built entirely of crystal and glowing with an inner light. But the palace gates were guarded by an army of stoic, unmoving chess pieces. The massive night guards blocked their path. Only those who prove their strategic worth may enter. Alistair looked at the giant chessboard courtyard. A real-life chess game? Bolt, what are our chances? Against the sentient army that has been playing for centuries? Approximately 0.001%, sir. I like those odds, Alistair declared. He then proceeded to play the worst game of chess in history, sacrificing his pieces with reckless abandon. But his moves were so chaotic, so nonsensical, that the rigid, logic-driven chess army couldn't compute. They were programmed for strategy, not sheer, unadulterated chaos. In the confusion, a pawn moved to the wrong square, creating a domino effect that toppled their own king. The chess pieces froze, then bowed, parting to let them through. Alistair puffed out his chest. See, Bolt? Sometimes madness is the best strategy. I will be deleting this memory from my logs to preserve my own sanity, sir. Finally, they reached the throne room. King Lux stood on a high pedestal, holding the AAA battery. It glowed with immense power, bathing the room in a brilliant light. The objects of the court were all chanting, "All hail the Cylindrical Messiah." "Stop!" Alistair yelled, running forward. You don't understand. That's not a Messiah, it's a battery. And my dimension needs it back, King Lux sneered. Fool! This power cell has brought us prosperity. Why should we give it up for you? Because, Bolt said, stepping forward, his optical sensors glowing. The energy it is drawing is creating a dimensional imbalance that will eventually cause both our worlds to collapse into a singularity of mismatched socks and existential dread. The objects gasped. King Lux looked at the battery, then back at the portal, which was now flickering violently. He saw the truth in Bolt's logic. His kingdom was glowing, yes, but the ground beneath them was starting to tremble. So, what do we do? The king asked, his voice now small. Alistair had an idea. He pulled a lemon, a copper wire, and a zinc strip from his backpack. I can build you a new power source. It won't be as strong, but it'll be stable. Working quickly, Alistair jury-rigged a giant lemon battery, connecting dozens of them with wires. It was a messy, ridiculous-looking contraption, but when he connected the final wire, a soft, warm light filled the room. It wasn't as blinding as the AAA battery's light, but it was steady. It was sustainable. King Lux looked at the gentle glow, then at the trembling world around him. He made his decision. He carefully handed the AAA battery back to Alistair. Alistair grabbed it and ran for the portal. Bolt, now! Bolt interfaced with the portal controls. Sir, you need to place the battery back into the quantum object locator to reverse the polarity. Alistair fumbled with the battery, his clumsy hands almost dropping it. He finally shoved it back into the device just as the portal began to collapse. With a flash of green light, they were thrown back into the lab. The portal sealed itself shut, leaving only a faint smell of cinnamon. The lights in the lab flickered back to full power. The citywide hum returned to normal. Alistair held up his invention, the battery safely inside. He looked at Bolt, who was running a full diagnostic. System status, normal. Dimension, stable. Probability of being attacked by an angry stapler in the near future, significantly decreased. Alistair grinned. walking over to the couch and picking up the TV remote. He popped the battery in, aimed it at the TV, and pressed the power button. The screen lit up with a nature documentary about sloths. Ah, victory, Alistair sighed, sinking into the cushions. You know, Bolt, for a minute there, I thought we were in real trouble. Bolt turned his head. Sir, we destabilized the multiverse, nearly caused the collapse of 2 dimensions, and fought a war against office supplies. All so you could watch television. Alistair just smiled. Yeah, worth it. He leaned back, clicked the channel, and started the search for his next big adventure. Or, more likely, the other missing remote battery. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this wild ride, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next story. See you next time.